A very good morning to each and everyone watching Mama Gagasaba Television. Thank you for being with us. You're going to be with me, Kamika Gisle. Now let's kick off the news headlines. Rwanda pledges support for South Sudan's post-conflict reconstruction. Rwanda questions DRC's commitment to peace deal. On the international news, African Union adopts a resolution describing slavery and colonization as crimes against humanity. Now let's take a short break to be back on the news details. Welcome back. Let's start in Rwanda. At a high-level security meeting in Addis Ababa, the government of Rwanda reaffirmed its commitment to supporting post-conflict reconstruction efforts in South Sudan. Speaking at the African Union Executive Committee meeting on security in South Sudan, Prime Minister Justin Nsengiyumva, representing President Paul Kagame, said Rwanda is ready to share its experience in reconciliation and rebuilding following the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. He pledged continued support for peacekeeping operations, including the United Nations mission in South Sudan. Dr. Nsengiyumva welcomed progress made in Juba and preparations for election scheduled for December. He stressed the importance of political will and trust building to secure lasting peace as South Sudan approaches the end of its transition. During the 39th AU summit, African leaders also raised concerns about rising conflict, terrorism, and unconstitutional changes of government reaffirming their commitment to silencing the guns across the continent. Moving ahead, Barbados has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening diplomatic and economic ties with Rwanda following Prime Minister Mia Mottley's re-election for the third term. Mottley's Barbados Labour Party won all parliamentary seats in the February 11 general elections. In a message responding to congratulations from President Paul Kagame, she pressed to deepen cooperation between the two countries, emphasizing shared goals of self-reliance, opportunity, and prosperity. Rwanda and Barbados have strengthened relations since Kagame's visit in Bridgetown in April 2022 and Mottley's visit to Kigali later that year. Both nations have signed agreements covering air transport, trade, tourism, and technology, and participated in the inaugural African-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum in 2022. Plans for direct flights between Kigali and Bridgetown through Rwanda, as well as cultural exchanges such as the introduction of lawn tennis in Rwanda, highlighting growing collaboration. Turning to the next story, Rwanda has raised fresh concerns over what it describes as continued failure of the Democratic Republic of Congo to honor commitments aimed at addressing cross-border insecurity in eastern Congo. Speaking at the 39th African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Prime Minister Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva said Rwanda remains troubled by Kinshasa's alleged violations of agreements reached under the Washington and Doha peace process. He welcomed the role of the United States and Qatar in facilitating dialogue, but stressed that progress must be implemented in good faith by all parties. Nsengiyumva reaffirmed Rwanda's commitment to regional peace, highlighting its contribution to UN peacekeeping missions and counter-terrorism efforts in Mozambique and Central African Republic. He also emphasized that lasting peace in Africa requires tackling root causes of African conflict, including poor governance, inequality, and exclusion. Rwanda further expressed support for ceasefire efforts in Sudan and broader continental stability initiatives. Now let's take a short break to be back on the international news. Welcome back. On the international news, African Union leaders meeting at a two-day summit in Addis Ababa have adopted a resolution that describes slavery, deportation, and colonization as genocide and crimes against the people of Africa.
On the international news, at a two-day summit in Addis Ababa, leaders of the African Union adopted the landmark resolution describing slavery, deportation, and colonization as genocide and crimes against humanity committed against African people. The decision was announced during the annual gathering of heads of the states in Ethiopia's capital. Chairman Mohamed Ali Yusuf emphasized that recognizing colonization as a crime against humanity was a crucial step toward historical justice. He also expressed solidarity with Palestine and called for an end to what he described as extermination of the Palestinian people. As part of the resolution, members of the state agreed to designate November 30 as the African Day of tribute to African martyrs and victims of the transatlantic slave trade, colonization, and apartheid. Leaders further pledged to keep the matter under review and to work collectively towards securing international recognition of the resolution. Proceeding on international news, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has arrived in Geneva for the second round of indirect negotiation with the United States over Iran's nuclear program. According to Tehran, the talks scheduled for Tuesday will be mediated by Oman following an initial session held on February 6 in Muscat. The discussions are expected to focus mainly on Iran's nuclear activities, particularly its stockpile for more than 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%. Western powers fear the program could lead to nuclear weapons, an accusation Tehran denies. Washington, however, has signaled it wants broader issues addressed, including Iran's ballistic missile program and regional influence. During his visit, Al-Ghachi is also due to meet Swiss and Omani officials, along with Rafael Grossi of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The renewed talks come amid heightened tensions and continued U.S. pressure, including threats of further sanctions or military action. Concluding our international news, a new investigation by BBC Panorama has uncovered evidence suggesting that Oman Bengui may have been framed for the 2002 murder of South Korean student Jong Ok-shin in Burma. Bengui has spent 23 years in prison following his conviction in 2005. The program found that police knew their main witness's testimony was contradicted by CCTV footage. Phone records and newly uncovered evidences indicate Bengui may have been using a phone box at the time prosecutors claimed he was cleaning up at a nearby crack house. Detectives were reportedly aware of this potential alibi but failed to pursue it. 15 key prosecution witnesses have now either admitted lying or saying they were pressured by officers to alter statements. The case is currently under review by the Criminal Cases Review Commission. Dorset police maintain their investigation was throughout, while Bengrit continues to insist he is innocent. This is the end of our international news. This is Margaret Sawa Television.
As we come to the end of our news edition, let's remind you of the top stories that we talked about. Rwanda pledges support for South Sudan's post-conflict reconstruction. Rwanda questions DRC's commitment to peace deal. On the international news, African Union adopts a resolution describing slavery and colonization as crimes against humanity. And this marks the end. Stay tuned.